Okay. Back in action. I think I left off speaking about the the whole marshes thing. Basically breaking down how when you look at the word marshes, you got the M and the A. Well, for one, the M, like I was saying, is synonymous with the mother figure. You got ma. So then you got the M is spelled M-A-R-S-H-E, marsh or marshes, M-A-R-S-H-E-S. And I was just basically breaking down how the marshes is the black, thick, muddy swamp water from which the lotus flower grows from. The lotus flower being once one of the symbols used for the Christ or for Heru, because Heru was born on a papyrus reed that grew out of the marshes or the lotus flower. Horus was represented as being on top of the lotus flower that grew from out of the dark mud or whatever, which is basically going to happen right here when this being the top, being the marsh or the muddy waters, the melanin or whatnot, in which Horus is going to rise up as if he was on a papyrus reed and come right here. And then when the sun is created up here, it's going to shoot back down through here, which by this time all this is going to be the bottom of the earth, or the inner earth, or the bottom of the earth. And then when the sun goes through here, the earth is going to come up off of the sun, and then it's going to be a little ray of light, or a ray of light shooting from the sun through here, coming back up and coming through here, rising up again the same way Horus rose up through the papyrus plant or whatever. But I just went in there real quick. So then I was breaking down how all this was the infinite light before the creation process took place or whatever. And another thing about this, so it'll be infinite light this way, infinite light that way, infinite darkness this way, infinite darkness this way. And like I was saying, it was the chatterbox effects. Now, on the other hand, when you're dealing with the squared energy or the energy outside of the circle, I was saying how it's you know, the scattered light, which psychologically it will correspond to the chattering of the mind, that makes it hard for one to meditate or silence the mind. That would be you quiet. So say you trying to meditate and you become quiet verbally and still physically or whatever, you know, sitting in whatever position you sit in and bringing the body to a stillness in the mind, or trying to bring the mind to a calmness. If your masculine light side is overactive, when you're dealing with the outside of the circle, that would be the mind chattering, making it hard for you to meditate. But when you're dealing with the balanced mind, once that light out here, this scattered light, is balanced out with the scattered darkness that will be on top of it, same way this is on top of that. Infinite darkness going this way, infinite darkness going down, infinite darkness going up, infinite darkness going this way, infinite darkness going that way. On the top, when you got them two balanced, then this outside realm would be, psychologically speaking, a realm of a silent mind, of meditation, because you have those scattered thoughts, or those thoughts that are not focused or concentrated in anything in particular, but it's not a bunch of random thoughts because you got the dark, you balancing the dark side or the feminine side, the silent side with the masculine side. Therefore, those scattered thoughts become more still and calm because they're balanced with the feminine aspect, which is the realm of stillness and calmness and peace and silence. So the outside realm could be, psychologically speaking, meditation, or if you're out of balance with the feminine aspect, then it would be a bunch of random chattering or whatever. What I'm gonna eat? Did I do this? Did I get that from the store? Did I get this? Am I gonna go here? What am I gonna do tomorrow? Boom, boom. You just sitting there just thinking random thoughts or whatever. And I would also go as to say that this would be the dreamland too, or whatnot. So you know, and this is just the way I look at it right here. When you're in a dream state, when you sleep and you're not dreaming, it'd probably be your mind be probably predominated or by your darkness or your feminine aspect that exists outside the realm of creation or whatever. But when you so this would be the realm of sleep. But when it's balanced, I would say with the light and the dark, then this would be when you have this when you sleep, but then the dreams you have will be the square light balanced out with the darkness or whatever. So that would be you sleeping and actually having a dream, as opposed to being in the darkness where you just be straight sleep and you wake up and then have a dream or whatever. So that's the square and the circle on that aspect. Now, when we get ready to go into the formation of the formation of the close up enough. The formation of the get right here. Yeah, that's good enough right there for now. Matter of fact, that's almost perfect. When we get the dealing with the everything starting to come into a let me go back over here first. When we get ready to start drawing that energy, or when we begin to start drawing that energy and initiating the process of manifesting the physical reality in the fruition or whatever. Let's say we all know this is infinite light going that way, infinite light going that way, or we just say all this is infinite lights. But let's just say that this square represented, this square light right here, you got the infinite light coming from this way, from the right, you got infinite coming from the left. But let's just say once we got right here, once all the infinite light came to this point, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, this became, along with the light that was already here under the bottom, let's say that we said, okay, all we need to do is get this light that's in this square into this center, and then we'll be able to rock and roll and do what we need to do. So this light would come this way, close in on the circle from this side, then you have the light closing in on the circle from this side, then you have light closing in from the bottom, light closing in from the top, and then you have the light closing in from the angles. The angles will almost be like it's coming here, then folding in, folding in, folding in, folding in, but folding in into this point right here, not boom, boom, but It's all the same thing. It's just gonna actually, everything is just gonna basically whoop, whoop, and whoop, and whoop. When all that happens, you're gonna have all that light that was right out here now concentrated right here. And then you would have more infinite light coming in, making a new square right here around it. But we got what we need right here in the center already. So now that light that came in to the circumference from the outside square that's right here, now when you look at it from a side view, you have, this is what you call Tiamat, which is represented by in ancient zoo types. She's represented by the pregnant hippopotamus sitting in the water. Now you got Horus, or the speckled dot, the dot right here, and with a little hole right there, which would it's gonna be a stream called a stream of light once all this squeezes in. But on the side, these is sealed off. So at the top, it'll look like this. You had this circle right here, and all this right here is sealed. The edges is sealed. That's what's keeping these two from keeping this light from coming up through here. It's sealed off. But once pretty good right there. Yeah, you see. Yeah, that's cool right there. So once all that light that was in that square finds itself within the circumference of the circle, now from the side it would look like this. Now all remember the top, let's see, the top layer, which is infinite darkness, draws in, it sucks. So all this is pulling upward. And then you have shooting in the which is the wind, the whirlwind in the center, with its base on top of the hill right here or whatever. And so what we gonna need to do is cut that seal that's right here, cut the seal that's right here, and of course that'll happen on all four sides, this side, the other side, then the flanks or whatever. That light will close in on every side of this here from the bottom and start cutting that seal with light. Now how does this happen? Well, this sucks up, and then all the light, that's infinite light that's going down, while this pulling up, this is pushing up. It's attraction and repulsion. Attraction is the darkness, the magnetic darkness, the melanin that pulls and draws up. That's the pull or the attraction. And then you have the repulsion, which is the light that's pushing forward. So all this light is pushing up. The most purest, pristine light is at the top. Well, all this is pure, pristine light. But the light at its highest vibration is at the highest point, the top point. So when all that light from that square of light that was sitting outside the circumference comes into the circumference of the circle, the intensity picks up. It's more light right here. That means more activity, it's more active. That means that this spinning motion that's taking place within the circle is causing the top, through the effect that connected at the center, is causing the top to spin faster, making this more of an aggressive whirlwind. At the same time, the top layer of light from this point and this point, they're gonna close in. So imagine all this light closing in. Boom. And stopping right here. Let me get my pencil. So just imagine this as this light, this top layer of light right here, in between this line and this line, coming right here. And then once it get right here, starting to cut that seal right there. And then this side coming in from this way stops right here. And by the concentration, the more concentrated the light, the more powerful it is. So when all this light finds itself concentrated right here, you're gonna have new light coming from the bottom, push up to replace all that light that went right here, whether it be pushing up or coming from the side, or however you want to look at it. You look at it as coming from the side or pushing up, or both. Same thing is gonna happen on this side. When all this light comes right here and stops right there, or not necessarily stop, but we just saying we're gonna pause it right there. More light will come up and push up or whatever and fill that void right there. So now, you're gonna have concentrated light right here, concentrated right there, giving you that square dome effect, square with the dome on top of it. Just like I was telling y'all about how the Arabs or Arabian architecture builds with the square body with the dome going across the top of it or whatever. So now, what we're about to do, well, what I'm about to show you is how the circle, the square turns into the circle at the center and comes over the top, burns a path 4 ways, and starts to build at the top. So once that light that stopped, we're finna unpause it. Once that light that concentrated right here and concentrated right here passes this point and comes into here, and then this light comes into here, two things are gonna happen. And this part kind of tricky. Whatever the case may be, what's gonna happen is, let's see if we, whatever the case may be is, the light gonna come up through here after that seal is bust. You gonna have light come up from this side, come out, burn a path this way, and leave with the head of the light circle right here, leaving 7 more behind it. And then same thing gonna happen here, same thing gonna happen here, same thing gonna happen here. So it means it's gonna be light that come up. So so many words, when I look at it, what I see is, let me go back over here. So when that light comes right here and then passes this point right here and starts to go this way, becoming more and more concentrated as it goes to the center, as well as this side coming this way, being more and more concentrated at the center, you're gonna have melanin coming from the top spilling down this way, and melanin from the top on this side spilling down this way, following that light. So as the light travels this way, it's cutting open, it's cutting that seal open. So once it cuts that seal open, it allows it makes it to where the melanin can start falling this way. But at the same time, see, right, so the way I look at it is like this. Once this light right here, soon as it cuts that little part right here and makes the initial cut and pushes it way a little bit past the initial cut, that light that came up to replace all the light that's concentrating right here is gonna slide this way and gonna make its way through that little small little. As soon as it cut that part right here, this light gonna come up through that little as a little sliver, flat little sliver of light. It's gonna come up to the top and go this way, and burn, or go this way and leave a trail with the head of the light being right here, and it's gonna and 7 holes right here. But it's not going. It's gonna be flat. So when it comes through, see how it all. I'm trying to explain it to you. When the light pushes from right here and pushes right here, and it's right here, it's like a square. So the light that's coming up through that these little slivers on the side are going to be square, because we're still dealing with the square. And, but this is the point where the square is about to turn. It's about to turn into a circle, or about to create a circle as it goes to the center point. So, when you're dealing with, so when that light comes up, when that little sliver of light comes up through here and spills out that way, it's coming up through the center as a square, and then it's coming down this way, and then the one side, then the other sliver of light coming from that side is coming down this way, then the other sliver of light going that way, then the other sliver of light going that way. Remember, this is the top, this is the bird's eye view of the top view. So just like that light is, oh, I'm tripping, my bad. Let me go back over here without explaining. Well, let me go back right here. Excuse me. Just as this light from this side is coming up through here, and this light is coming up through here, when it gets right here and it gets right here, it's squared. So then that's gonna happen on all 4 sides. That's the square. That's dealing with the square. That's why when it comes up, through the center, well, this is the bottom part, but that's why when it goes up through the center at these 4 points, when it comes back, when it comes up the top, which is right here, and goes this way, this way, and this way, and this way, it creates the square. What I tell you the cross represent, the cross is a square. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can boop, 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 and make a square or whatever. So that sliver of light that creates that square on the top, or the 4 corners on the top, corresponds to this point right here. The light coming here and the light coming here in a square type shape right here. And when you look at it, this is when you hear about the spirituality, you hear about like in you'll hear him like in Christianity, whatever, or excuse me, Judaism. They speak on the importance of being circumcision, just as well as in Egypt and all that, whatever, and all that. Not only are they talking about the penis, that the sexual phallus penis, they talk about the circumcision of the pineal gland. You know, the pineal gland is being decalcified or not calcified so that the light can pass through or whatnot. But if you look at it from this perspective, you can see this is the phallus or the penis with the foreskin around it. That light coming through here and going up is the light that, and it's burning that seal that's around that circle. That's the that's when we circumcise the penis, we're basically copying this part of the creation process of the whole world in general or whatever. So as that light slowly closes in this way, cutting that seal, and this light comes from this side and it's cutting the seal from this way, what you're gonna have is that light, these two sides of the light concentrating to their most coming to their most concentrated point right here in the center where that dot is at, where the original hole I was telling y'all about was at. And when it gets there, it's gonna be so concentrated that it's gonna basically be like coming in, then it's gonna get so concentrated to where when it gets right here, it connects with that light in the center. It's gonna create that. So it's gonna be like as if it did like this. It's gonna come right here, connect with that light, and then that the concentration of the light coming from the flanks, combined with the dot that's already right there in the center, is gonna cause a stream of light to come through here. While that light is closing in, remember the seal is being cut, so the melanin is gonna be pouring in. So it's gonna be like the melanin is almost chasing that light. So as that light, once that initial cut is made right here, and that light starts to squeeze in, as the light is coming in, you have melanin coming from the sides, following that light, and it's coming in the form of a circle, and it's coming like this right here. So what's gonna happen is once that seal is cut on both sides, and that melanin comes in and forms a mound this way and a mound this way, you got the melanin right here. It's gonna basically create another circle of melanin at the bottom. So you have the top part, and then you have the rounded out part right here, where it'll be round. It'll be like this here. Of course, it'll be a little space in between. Now I'm just a crude drawing of it, because there's always gonna be a space in between the circles or whatever, which represent the different columns of the vertebrae, or what's going to become the vertebrae. But once that light fills up on both sides, and this light in the center is the most concentrated point, before that melanin gets a chance to touch that light, the whole thing, since the sides is cut and the whirlwind is spinning, it's enough that the whirlwind had enough force to pull up the whole melanin ball now, since those cuts have been made. So it's like now all the bottom part is able to be sucked up because it ain't no seal blocking it from the pull of the center. So what you're gonna have is you're gonna have this, because it actually kind of folds over on itself. So you're gonna have that melanin that came from the center. It's gonna form a circle, but it's gonna kind of come like a llama bean, like that, because of the pull of the, instead of making a full round circle right here, or round it off all the way, it's gonna kind of fold over due to the pull of the vacuum right here, and it's gonna pull this part, this little ball right here up to this point right here where it's gonna stop at. That right there is Sirius. It's gonna be the Sirius, the star Sirius. And as it goes up, it's gonna carve out. If you read the creation process, see if I can find this while I'm talking. I don't know exactly where it's at. It just came to me right before I, talking about certain different conditions of creation. I better not, because I don't know exactly where it's at. Hold on, maybe it's right here. 30 minutes. Okay, let me see. Damn, man, I wish I knew what part that was at, man. I can kind of wing it though, so man, I ain't gonna waste too much time on it. But anyway, like I said, this right here is gonna shoot up and land right here. But at the same time, it's gonna be cutting these little caverns. If you're gonna read Secret Teachers of All Ages, and you read about the part of it about Tahuti or Hermes, which is one of the first, which is one of the with that chapter within that book is one of the first things that started to, when I was in jail, it started to help me assist me with getting some type of semblance of, or some type of idea of I guess I go into that in the next one. I'll find a few things in there that help me with even though at that time my initial hypothesis, so to speak, on how this shit all came into fruition was off in some ways. There still was the foundation to give me at least an understanding of how the masculine and the feminine, the mixing and interaction between the darkness and the light, or the masculine and the feminine, the different forms of interactions and the different reactions that their interactions had came into played in, or the part that played into the creation process or whatnot. So what's going to happen is oh yeah, but before it go up, one more thing, I'm tripping, but before it go up, before it get a chance to go up, that light that came, like I told you, this light came concentrated in the center, this light came and concentrated in the center, and then more light rose up and replaced that light. This light right here would be like the representative of the light that's most pressed up against the bottom. That's, you know, that's most pressed up against here. That's, you know, that's flat, right up flat up against the bottom or whatnot. So when that light all compress at the center and create that stream of light right there, you'll have more light rise up. Because remember, this light, this sucks up, this pushes up or goes forward. More light's gonna come, and that melanin that followed the light and created this roundness or rounded this off or whatever, the light that came up and replaced right here, due to the fact that you have those holes or that seal being cut, and now more suction is able to take place right here. It's gonna suck this light over here, suck this light over here, but this time instead of concentrating in the center, since the melanin flanks are right here, what it's gonna do this time is it's gonna cover over that this right here, this side is gonna cover up cover over this part of the melanin ball or whatever. This side is gonna cover up this side of the melanin, so this side is gonna come up this way, cover this part. This side is gonna come up and cover this part, and it's gonna put a coat over the whole thing. So you're gonna have melanin all around here and at the center. But that light, when it comes up, it's gonna come up and now that's why I was telling y'all about the square circle. The first part, the little sliver of light that came up through the square aspect created the path. Created the path or whatever. That's why I say it's kind of tricky. I know I said it came up with the headlight right here, but I'm tripping. What I think happened was when that light came up just through the square before the circle, it just created the square paths. And then when that next light came, and behind, because like I said, that first ream of light came, that concentrated into this point of light right here. So it came right here, concentrated there, and ended up creating a stream of light right there. And all that light that came from this side was replaced by more light right here. But as that light was coming and concentrating at the center, the melanin was coming right behind it, following it, due to falling in from the top of the globe, or the top of the circle or whatever. Because remember, all this is at the top is what they call a slime of Kim, or the mother goo, the melanated waters, but it's sticky. It coagulated the gel like, so it's a ooze or whatever. Like I was telling y'all in the secret, the Ninja Turtle thing, secret of the ooze. So while that light is oozing in from this side, and this light is oozing in this side, with the light, while the melanin from the top is oozing in from this side, and then it's melanin on this, the melanin on this side is oozing in from the top on this side, following the light as it goes to the center, not touching it but following it, because it's a reaction that happens when the melanin touches that light. Well, not when the reaction, when it's a reaction that happens when melanin touches light at this most concentrated point right here. It's a reaction that happened, but because of the concentration of the light. I get into that. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But long story short, the first light that came and created that burnt the edges right here and then went in. Then you had the next light that came up, went in through these top, that's a square slivers, flat, and came up through the top to create the four paths right there. The four square paths or whatever. And then when I think when it went up to the top as the square, it just created the paths without the it created the rows without the circles or whatever. And then when because it was just a square, it was still dealing with the square, just going up as a square or going up as flat. So y'all can see this shit good. Alright, that's good enough. So that was the flats. It's like niggas dealing with your chicken wings, your flats, your other ones. That was the flats. But then once that melanin came and created that little circular shape, and the seals broke, causing the whirlwind or the vacuum to be able to suck more from down here. The next round of light that came from the sides, came from the circle, went up, took on the shape of a circle, and and one of the circles of light went this way, one of the circles of light went that way. If it didn't, matter of fact, if I was a gambling man, I'd go even go as far as to say, when the light came up and took on the form of a circle, covered over the whole top of this melanated shell, when it went this way, it went in the form of a basically just like this here. It probably came in, covered up the whole circle, or came in, covered up the flanks or whatever, and then came over the top and went out this way in a circle or a semicircle, because that's the sebek. If you go and study when you deal with sebek, the sebek form of Horus, sebek is a crocodile, a baby crocodile. Now when you're dealing with the crocodile, what's the crocodile? The crocodile is just like this here. When you see the crocodile in the water, you see the crocodile eyes protruding from out of the water in the form of a semicircle or a half circle, just like this right here. So when that light came and went up this way, you probably had the light with a melanin shell for the top going this way, then one going this way, then one going back that way, and one coming this way. And by now, as opposed to just coming up as flat, since now it's it came in contact with the shape of the circle, when it come up through the top this time, it go this way, this way, this way, and this way. It calls out the seven caverns or caves or holes with the head point stopping right here. And then that process takes place in all four. So you'll have the 7 with the 1 with the head right here, 7 with the head right here, 7 with the head right here, 7 with the head right here. So but it'll be, that's the light side, I'm tripping. But when they do it, it'll be this right here. So it'll come out through the top, come from this part, which is the bottom, come through there, and then come out through the top and create the 7, 7, 7. As you can see, 7, 7, 7, 7. And then it'll have one head at each, at the end. These are the 4 brothers of Jesus I was telling y'all about. The oarsmen, the 4, I was telling y'all about Jesus and his 4 brothers in the boat fishing. Jesus and his 4 brothers as the oarsmen. The oarsmen are the helmsmen, are the ones that paddle the boat. These are the paddles with the 1, 2, 3, 4 brothers of Jesus. The head of, just like Jesus is gonna be the head of this, the center when it come up. You have the 7, and then the head, which is one of the brothers of Christ. Then the 7, which is the head. 7, which is the head. 7, which is the head. And then this circle sitting at the edge is the paddle, the flat part of the paddle. When you look at a boat, when you look at the oars, you have the stick, and at the end of the stick you have the flat paddles. These will be the paddles of the boat. This is Jesus in the boat with the 4 brothers, or the 4 fishermen. So the 4 brothers, of Jesus are actually the 4 directions: north, east, south, and west, or the 4 cardinal points of the zodiac and all that. And as you can see, it all makes sense. This is the paddles right here, the oars, and remember, this is spinning. So these will be the paddles paddling through the waters or whatever, the dark waters, with go back over here. Now just like now the reason I said that each one of those 4 lanes would have one at the head with 7 caverns or holes going across each one of them, is because they're gonna mimic the process of what's gonna happen right here, which is once this fills up with melanin, and this fills up with melanin, and then you have the concentrated light stream right here going all the way down. This is gonna float up, and as it floats up to place itself right here, it's gonna cut out these 7 spots, so that 7 spears of light can come from down here, come through the center, and occupy each one of these right here. Just like the so you had your 8th, which is Sirius right here, which this is it's gonna be Jesus, and then a 4, 1, 2 plus a 3, then the other one going that way. 4 will be the 4 brothers, or the 4 fishermen. So now, this will be really gonna get jiggy at. So what's gonna happen is, when this goes up and comes right here, by the time this land right here, you're gonna have this ball, or this melanin cluster with this light in the center, which was once right here, and as it's traveling up, remember you got the stream of light following it. So you will have this sitting right here, and then you have that stream of light, yellow. You'll have that stream of light coming through the center, like a little tail. This is the same thing as the sperm, with the head and the tail behind it. So while this here is traveling up here, you're gonna have melanin coming down here. Now, since this is a fully open, since this just went up here, it's gonna leave a open gap right there. So as soon as that goes up, that melanin is gonna pour down and create it's gonna create okay, let me break it down. This way it kind of get a little tricky. When this still goes up, all that melanin coming from the top is gonna be pouring down this way, right? So when this light gets, this right here finally gets right here, you're gonna have this stream of light coming down here, passing through here, and with the melanin coming in from the flanks or whatever. Now, here's the magical part right here. When I remember Bobby Hemming was telling the story about how over there in the museum in Britain, they had this little white powder that they got from Egypt. And they say that their white powder, whatever, you could take this white powder and throw it on the ground, and whatever you throw on top of it, it would make whatever on top of it float. Or you can slide something across it. And he was saying how they think that's one of the things that they use for to build the pyramids, to move all those bricks and stuff that they said was too heavy for or regular for people to move, whatever. Now actually, the pyramids was actually created not by the hands of physical man. It was created the same way this process, it was created in the commission of this process taking place. Because you got three shapes. You got the square, you got the circle, and you got the triangle, which is the pyramid. So I showed you this, make sure we're looking at the same, okay. So I showed you how I started out with the circle, then the square down here, then the energy came right here and created the square. But when it's all said and done, this is gonna be a pyramid. So you see it go through the square and the dome, and it's gonna go from the square to the dome to, by the time the earth is finally created, it's gonna be a pyramid. But we'll get to that later. But it's gonna be a pyramid. That's the third. The pyramid is the three. You have the one, which is the square. Square really is the four, but we know light or knowledge, or the masculine aspect, corresponds to the one. And then you have the two, with the one right here, which makes where the energy creates the square. And then you have the two, which is the dome or whatever. But two would be the feminine aspect. Then you have the dome right here, and then you have the three, which is the pyramid. But that comes a little later. But anyway, I said all that to say, when this light goes up right here, it comes right here. By the time it makes it right here, the last little strip, the last part of light or stream of light coming through here, it's gonna come through here, and by the time it so it's gonna come through here, pulling this up. By the time it get right here, what you're gonna have is a ball of melanin, just like this, from the melanin falling over. But and then you're gonna have speckles over that melanin, because you're gonna have light coming up as well, but that light is gonna be flanking the sides with the stream of light coming through the center. But by the time that melanin ball right here reaches right here, all that melanin that came in to create that ball right here is going it's gonna close in on that stream of light that's coming through here. Now when it does that, this is what you call alchemy. The reaction between not just the light in the melanin, but that the light being at its most concentrated point, when it comes to contact with that melanin, by the time all that melanin flanks in from right here, from the sides, and closes in on that stream of light that's in the center or whatever, what it's gonna do, it's gonna create an ash or salt. When you go back to Sodom and Gomorrah, when they told, I don't know the names and shit of the people, but when they told the lady, don't look forward, don't look back, and she looked back and turned into a pillar of salt, that was a symbolism. The looking back symbolizes remember I told you when this went up and going down here, it was shooting that stream of light down here. That's called the train of Horus. You know how you hear people say when a woman get married, she got on that dress with the long back behind it, following it. They call it the train of the wedding dress. This is called the train of Horus, or train of Heru. It leaves that train behind, and by the time it gets right here, that train is passing through the center, and what it ends up doing is, when it gets right here, that train gets caught up in that melanin ball, is all that melanin that's coming in through here, and so many words, that melanin closes in on the center of that concentrated light right here. When it closes in on that center, it catches it like right here, catches it right here, and closes in on it. And when it closes in on it, it creates the salt. It turns that concentration of light turns the melanin that it comes in contact with. When it mixes with that melanin, it turns into salt. That's why I said she turned to a pillar of salt. This is the backbone of Osiris. When it first hits the light, when the melanin and concentrated light first meets up, it's salt, grains of salt. And you gotta remember, this all happening within the twinkle of an eye. So think of that, factor that in too. So when that melanin meets with that concentrated point of light right there, as it's coming through here, it turns into salt. But what does salt do? Salt dehydrates, right, or drains, or draws water. The salt draws water from out of the melanin or whatever. So when it turns into that salt, the melanin ball, which is moist and gooey, sticky, slimy, when it touches that concentrated light, and it causes all the moisture that's inside the melanin to come from within the melanin and draws out to the top onto the surface as if it was sweating. Just like sweat is drawn out from the body and comes out to the top and drips over the top, over the surface. It does the same thing, turning the melanin into a hard rock as it's going in this way. Now that melanin, as it's transforming into the hardness, as it's pushing in, it's pushing and shaping that salt, those sprinkles, those grains of salt, is compressing them at the center. The pressure from the melanin coming in from the sides compresses that salt and turns it into a pillar or a spine or the backbone of Osiris. But at this point, so it's like it before the light can come all the way out of here, it gets caught up in that pressure. So all this turns into a pillar of salt, including the light that makes even and a little bit of it that got caught up right here, even though it got turned into it got turned into the backbone right here, and a little bit of it got pushed out due to the pressure, forming a little tailbone. So the same way at the base of your spine you have your tailbone, now you have this melanin cluster right here with a little tube or spine created by the reaction of the alchemical reaction between the melanin and the light and the concentrated light. It created a tailbone right here. So you had a tailbone protruding or sticking from out of this melanin ball that's stuck right here, which has flecks of light over the top due to coming in contact with some of the light that was being sucked up by the whirlwind. So now, how much time we got? All right. Now we got a minute left. So now you have this melanin ball with light flicks all over it, a tailbone spine right here, and then you have 7 balls of melanin under it, which are eventually going to go on to be sucked in to that, and that process is going to continue while light is coming up here. While these balls are going up, pulled up by the vacuum, you're going to have this pushing down to where eventually this right here